Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing out there today? This is your Uncle Steve here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Folks, we were going to talk about the top 10 moments in Atlanta Falcons history, and we still are going to do that with you today. However, we also have breaking news. The Atlanta Hawks made a pretty sizable move in acquiring Christoph Porzingis. And I know I just butchered his name, but he's coming to the Hawks now. So that ought to be interesting for Atlanta fans during this dead time. A move for the Hawks right before the trade deadline. The trade deadline, before the draft. So that ought to be interesting to talk about. We're going to talk about it all when we get back. Come holler at us. Top 10 Falcon moments all time. Come join your uncle in Uncle Steve's Lounge.
You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge.
What is going on, and how are y'all doing out there on a Tuesday, June 24th? You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge with Uncle Steve. I appreciate y'all joining us today on this Tuesday to talk sports. And what better way to kick off? We had not planned to talk Atlanta Hawks, but within the last 30 minutes, the Atlanta Hawks, courtesy of ESPN, they say the Celtics are trading Christoph Porzingis, say that 3 times, to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, again, given the promise that Porzingis had a few years ago, it is kind of interesting now that, we're getting him. And he's not exactly completely done. I know he's got to be probably right at 30 or something like that, or somewhere in that vicinity. Atlanta does need a big. He does fit that criteria. Hopefully the Hawks will go out and try to get somebody else that they can still mold in that position. But a pretty big move. If you're talking about the Atlanta Hawks, one of the things they needed was a big, and they got a big, and good for them that they snuck him into this deal. Now, I think we gave up the number 22, so we still have one of the draft picks, the number 13 we still have. So shout out to the Hawks for trying to address some things in the offseason and giving Trey, somebody that he can work with inside. Now, I know he's not a traditional back to the basket type of guy, but at the end of the day, I think he fits a need, and the Atlanta Hawks needed that. So shout out to them for trying to make a move, helping Trey out in the end. So again, that's the breaking news in the last couple of within the last half hour, that the Hawks are moving Christoph Porzingis from Boston to Atlanta for the number 22 pick, and uh, we are giving away Terrence Mann to the Nets and George Niang to the Celtics. That's a good move for the Celtics. Another 3-point shooter that they could use. So I guess that probably ends the stay here for Clint Capella. I'm pretty sure, but I know there are many a podcast that's going to be talking about that. I know my man Damon over at We Talk um, Hawks TV is doing his thing tonight. I'm sure he's pretty excited about that, and you'll probably get some good content out of them today. Now, what I was talking about, and I wanted to get started. We had such a good time, I think, the other day when we were doing the uh, top 10 Atlanta Falcons of all time. I thought that was some good conversation that we had in there. I think we came up with a list. I'll pop it up in a second or two. I, I felt okay about it, but there was a couple of them that I think I would have put in there instead of some other ones. But I think we came up, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna try to see if I can um, go back and pull that up while we are talking about the next one. But the next topic we're going to be talking about, we're going to do some top tens up until training camp. So the top 10 moments in Atlanta Falcon history. A couple of them are pretty obvious when you're talking about going into a Super Bowl berth, but we're going to try to see if we can get to 10. And if we get a solid 10, maybe we can try to rank them. It's kind of hard. I know it's pretty much a consensus. I would imagine we all would probably have the same top moment in Atlanta Falcons history. That Morton Anderson kick in overtime at Minnesota. I I, I don't know too many moments that's gonna top that one. The fact that you did that on the road, you did that to a team that was thought that year to pretty much be unbeatable in the 15-1 Minnesota Vikings, which that was an awesome team. Randall Cunningham's last huge season. That team was loaded, and for us to go in there and not only there, but we were down uh, double digits going into the fourth quarter for the Falcons to come back, tie that game up, and get to the position where I think, and even Minnesota got the ball first, if you remember that, and they ended up getting the game-winning field goal. So that's what I want to hear today. If you're joining us, and I appreciate you all joining us. If you're coming in here, we're live on YouTube. Definitely subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We're actually streaming today on X. So appreciate the X platform. It's been a minute since I've been on here, but a good friend of the show told me, he said, Steve, why don't you go on X so he can try to share the show out? And I appreciate, shout out to Yuri, who definitely supports the platform. Appreciate him coming in and letting us know about those type of things. And I appreciate that. So I am today streaming on X as well. I'm on X at Unk Steve's Lounge. That's UNK Steve's Lounge if you want to check me out on there. And then also streaming into Facebook today. So hello to the Facebook users. If you don't mind, please hit the like button as you come in. We appreciate getting this kind of content out into the open. Now, I will go ahead and tell you the ones that I have on the list, and I can kind of share those. And I am willing to listen to anybody that has any other ideas about moments in Falcons history. So far, I'm gonna pull up what I have so far, and hold on one second. I'm going to get what I have here. Share this screen with you all. All right. So um, I do have on that top 10 list Morton Anderson's game-winning field goal, as far as that's concerned, in overtime. And pay attention to the don't pay attention to the numbers as much, even though I do think that's a consensus number one for me. I don't think anybody is going to argue that. Uh, One of the other top moments, the Falcons rout Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. So you could either have a moment or the whole game can kind of encapsulate everything too. So I can deal with that. We're going to do that with some of these moments as well. Matt Bryant's kick, the game-winning kick against the Seahawks in 2012 uh, at the Georgia Dome to kick us into the NFC Championship game when we were the number one seed. Almost blew that game against Seattle. Of course, went on to blow the game against San Francisco. But that game-winning kick at that moment uh, was probably one of the top moments at the time. Mike Vick's run in overtime against the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings. You all remember that play? He ran in overtime, and the two Vikings players ran into each other. You see that quite a bit. They actually replayed that on NFL Network, I want to say about a week or so ago. So that's a moment that uh, in Mike Vick lore that he has. Uh, for some of the old school folks, back in '78, Big Ben Wright, Steve Bartkowski throws the ball up with less than 20 seconds. Ball gets tipped, comes down in the hands of Alfred Jackson, and the Falcons win in the Superdome against the Saints. That was probably before the Super Bowl, may have been the moment at that time. Julio Jones in his 300-yard game. I know a lot of people want to give love as that to Matt Ryan as well, because Matt threw for 5. But the 300-yard game is a little bit more rare than the 500-yard game. So Julio doing that was just awesome. And also, as far as the moment is concerned, the Atlanta Falcons beating the Legion of Boom to get to the NFC Championship in 2016, and uh, that was one of the second to last Falcon game played in the dome. So if you got anything else to add on here, we'd love to hear what you got. I appreciate it. Gonna go into the chat here. John Higgins is in the house. What's going on, man? Say, Uncle Steve, what's happening? Hope you the family keeping cool. Georgia Heat. Let's kick that. That kick that put us in the Super Bowl. That's the one I have on here. John also goes on to say, now this one everyone may not know about. First playoff game at home against the Eagles in '78 was the hardest hitting game. Yeah, I remember that game. That was the game. And if you really remember, Philadelphia kind of backed into that game. That was when uh, you only had the two wild card teams, and it was us and Philly. And Herm Edwards the week before against the Giants. The Giants were going to make the playoffs, and then on the kick, the Giants fumbled the ball, and Herm Edwards ended up picking it up and taking it in, and got the berth for Philly. Philly ended up playing us, and it was a hard fought game, and Philly ended up missing a field goal, and we ended up winning that game. Yeah, and he brought us in, thought that we were going to kill Wilbert Montgomery in that game. Yeah, we won 13-14. Again, they had an opportunity to win that game, but they missed the field goal in the end. John also says we need a consistent outside shooting because that's what we have now. Not enough consistent night in, night out. NBA is tough defense, three-point shooting, and mid-range shooting. It almost seems like now that the NBA is mainly a 3-and-D type lead. If you look at what Oklahoma City had, they got a lot of young cats that can play defense and that can shoot the three. And when you can do that, when you talk about what Caruso was doing, you talk about what Dort was doing, even the guys on Indiana, give them a lot of credit. Nesmith, a lot of guys out there that play tough, tenacious defense and then shoot the three. That's really how things are done now. So give them a lot of credit for that. Travis is in the house. What's up, Travis? He said, "Hey, Uncle, as far as top 10 moments, give me the Julio touchdown versus Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. The dome exploded on that play. I do remember, and of course, y'all know I was at that game as well. That game had three. The Green Bay game had three shake the stadium moments. Three shake the stadium moments. That was one of them. It wasn't the moment that shook the most, but that when he took the little drag route across the middle and beat the not Bradbury. I'm trying to think what the guy's name was that he beat across the middle. The guy actually was holding Julio, and Julio still threw him off and ran for the touchdown. But if you remember that particular game, that was the earth-shaking moment when Julio tiptoed and caught the pass before the end of the half. But if you remember that game, the moment of that game that I don't know if I can put it, I guess I can put it in the top 10, when Matt Ryan goes out and he scores that touchdown from 15 yards out. That place lost their mind. That game against Green Bay, when he did that, that was absolutely a moment. That was a moment that he absolutely brought the house down, and it was shaking, like earthquake shaking. But that play with Julio was good too. Henry in the house. What's on here? Henry said, "Hello, Uncle Steve and Falcons family. Hope you all are having a blessed and safe one. You too, my friend. I hope you are having a good one too." Clayton said, "Number one, because I was there. Julio go ahead game winning screen against the Eagles. I do remember that play was ran with perfection with Jake Matthews block. Ryan hit him at the right time and place, and Julio ran dust. That was a Monday night game, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think that was a Monday night game, but I do remember the screenplay, and it was brilliantly done. And it was Jake Matthews, one dude to block, and Jake knocked the junk out of him to get that play broken out. So yeah, I believe that. Clayton also says, "But my favorite moment, I hate to say it, we had Brady against the ropes in the first half of the Super Bowl." Now, I was tempted to put that on the list. I don't know. I mean, you can still put it as a moment, because if we really are honest, that moment where Robert Alford got the pick six going into the half, I thought, man, me and probably 90% of Falcon fans thought the Super Bowl was over at that moment. We said we had Tom Brady's number. Grady Jarrett was slamming them all over the place. We were up 21. I mean, that was a huge moment in that game. But I don't know. For the sake of me, I think I just have to. I just can't put it on there, because I guess I'm just teased, I guess. John says Tim Mazzetti kicked those 5 field goals against the Rams here at home. That was in the 1980 season. I do remember that. When he did that, that was the big season. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Was that the 80 season or the 78 season? That might have been the 78 season. But I do remember him kicking the 5 field goals. That might have been the 78 season. Because I think Luckhurst was there for the 1980 season. I could be wrong. I'll check. Clay says any of the games. It picked any of the games against the Aints that we won. Yeah, hey, I'll take that. Right now, there are a couple of them. There was one game where we blocked the kick. It was 34-34, blocked the kick, and then ran the ball in. for the touchdown. I remember that one. Uh, the Saints game coming off of their Super Bowl, uh, the year Saints had won the Super Bowl. We were playing at New Orleans. New Orleans took the ball all the way down in overtime, got the ball inside the 10, I think inside the 5, and dude missed like a 23-yard field goal, and the Falcons went on to win the game, and that was in 2010. Was it 2010 season? 2009 to 2010. I know it's the year after the Saints won the Super Bowl, and Saints thought they had that game won. That was crazy. Henry says Matt Botcher's body slamming the punt returner against the Panthers years ago. Yeah, I remember that. That was one of my favorite Falcon moments. I do remember Matt Bosher doing his thing there too. That was a funny moment right there. Travis says who had the walk pick off against Redskins in overtime. That was brother Alford, same guy. Alford against Kirk Cousins. When we were 4-0 and looked like at that time the Redskins were moving down the field and Kirk kind of lollygagged that bad boy over there and Alford snuck in there and got the ball. It's so funny to me. Robert Alford does not get the love. I know Trufant was the number 1 pick that year, but Alford was the 2nd round pick. And for what it's worth to me, as much as I thought Trufant did a good job, Alford was pretty nice. Alford couldn't get over those holding penalties. I remember he had a lot of holding penalties uh, back then. So that was, you know, that was an issue. Henry says Deion Jones game sealing interception against the Saints is an underrated moment too, and that was the very beginning of the 2016 year. I think that was game 3 or 4 of that year. And if you remember, also Deion Jones also had season-ending uh, interception against Jameis Winston that gave Jameis Winston the infamous 30 touchdown, 30 interception year. Deion Jones won that game for us as well. But yeah, that moment against the Saints, that was kind of the moment where you said, "Oh, okay, the Falcons might be for real. That actually might be that actually might be a legit team on here." Clayton, D. Jones gave Winston, yeah, his record breaking interception. Absolutely, absolutely. Abel, what's going on, man? I want to give Abel a shout out. Thank you for sending a super chat to us, $9.99. I have to, for the record, for those of you looking and saying, Steve, where are all the sounders? The sound I got a new. If y'all noticed, I've tried to change up the screen a little bit, and so I have to put my sounds back into my little mixer here. So as soon as I get that, we'll be good. But y'all know deep down, I'm singing these songs in my heart of hearts for you. But I appreciate you, Abel. Thank you so much. He said, "Good day, Unc. For me, it's definitely Morton Anderson kicking the field goal in Minnesota. I remember where I was at that time. I I was actually in school. I was in work and at school. Uh, and we all had gone to my mom's house, mom and dad's house at the time. And we were watching my dad. I think my dad watched it somewhere else. But we were all watching it in my mom's room. And I just remember when Morton kicked that field goal, I think we almost tore up her bed that day when he when he kicked that through. That was just a awesome moment. Yeah, I have that as the number one moment. I don't think it's a moment, especially knowing what it led to. Now, obviously, 2 weeks later, we didn't do a good job against Denver at all. But the significance of that moment, first Super Bowl ever, that was you can't get that moment back. So, not you can't get that going to the Super Bowl for the first time. You can't replay that back. So that was pretty awesome to do that. Clayton says Devin Hester punt return record. I remember that as well when he broke the record to get that. Absolutely. You almost forget that Devin Hester was here for a quick second, but he was. Most of his time was spent in Chicago. But Devin did a decent job for us and actually returned a couple of them. And if you remember, he was a thorn in our side in that aforementioned Seattle Seahawks game, the playoff game. Remember, he ran back the kickoff and they called it back on a penalty because had he done that and kind of evened the score, that was going to change the trajectory of that playoff game. So, yeah, I definitely remember that. Jew Talk Sports in the house. What's going on, Jew, man? Y'all make sure y'all check out Jew Talk Sports. He has his own podcast. Always got some good topics on there and definitely has some shorts on there for y'all to check out. Make sure y'all give him some love over at Jew Talk Sports. What's going on, my friend? Good. Hope everything is going well. The Hail Mary to Michael Haynes to beat the 49ers. You know, it's funny. There are a couple of Hail Marys that, are in our history. We talk about the being right against Steve Balkowski, the one he's talking about right here to Michael Haynes. Another one that beat San Francisco, that was the Billy White Shoes, the phantom touchdown, because by NFL standards today, that wasn't a touchdown. If you go back and look at that game that we played, and he caught the ball like at the 5, and he stretched out, and they gave him, that was before replay, they gave him that that touchdown, but his knees were about a yard or two away from that touchdown. But that was a big time play. I also am reminded of the play, though it wasn't a Hail Mary to the end zone. If you remember, and I want to say that was the 2012 year. I think it was the year we beat Carolina when Matt Ryan threw the ball from the end zone and Roddy White caught the ball at like the 40 or 50 yard. Matt put that bad boy, he put some air under that bad boy, threw it about 50, 60 yards in the air, and Roddy White came down with it, and the Falcons eventually went on to win the game. That was the infamous Matt Ryan quote, "Get the F off the field," to the side, and excuse me, a lot of the Panthers remembered that because I think they beat us when we went to Carolina later on that season. But yeah, that particular throw uh, was definitely a memorable moment when you start talking about uh, moments in Falcons uh, history. Uh, yeah, I I think let's see, Travis says the Julio touchdown catch versus the Colts his rookie year when Julio still had the dreads going on. Absolutely. I remember that as well. Yeah, that was big. But and I think in that game, I don't think Peyton was playing that game. I think that was it Curtis Painter was playing that. I think he was playing in that particular game that year. So, but I remember that, man. That was a good one. That I love these ideas. Please keep them coming to me as far as the top 10 Falcon moments in Atlanta Falcons history. Again, we can talk about a particular game. You can talk about uh, specific moments in the game. So far, again, we have plenty that we've got on here. I've ranked my top 3 so far as the Morton Anderson game-winning field goal, Falcons rout Green Bay in the championship game. Matt Bryant kicks the game-winning field goal against the Seahawks. Mike Vick runs in the game-winning touchdown in overtime against the Vikings. And probably the one that kind of started it off for me, that was the Big being right in the wins in the last second against the Saints. Uh, I like that one because I think that was one of the first holy jump. That was like nobody wins games like that. And if I'm not mistaken, that 70 year we won like 3 games that were 20-17. If memory serves me correct, I think we beat the Saints twice that year, 20-17. I think we beat them in Atlanta by the same score. But that became that was really when the Falcons Saints thing kind of got kicked off because we started winning before the Saints started winning. So uh, Jim Mora came a little bit later and had a couple of decent years, but for what it's worth, I know during the Sean Payton, Drew Brees years, a lot of those during a lot of those years, some of those some of those games, I mean, the Falcons were destroying New Orleans, but now I think it's kind of caught up with them just a little bit as far as that is concerned. What else we got here? Scott, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? He said, Vic's playoff win, and oh my God, I forgot all of man. You know what? That I'm adding that to the list. So I'm gonna let you watch me add that. So let's make. Oh my goodness, I knew I was gonna probably forget a couple of moments. So I am gonna add that. Uh, so let's see. Uh, Vic's uh, playoff win against uh, against the Packers at Lambeau, and remember that was actually the very first loss at home for the Packers in Green Bay. Now they had played playoff games in Milwaukee as well, but that was their first playoff loss at Lambeau when Mike Vick did that, and we kind of dominated them that game, if memory serves me correct. That was the game in the snow by the second half, and that was Brett Favre, so it wasn't like a second string in there. They had some quality folks on that team, but we took them out. Uh, Dexter says when Peyton Manning came to Atlanta. Hold on one second. I'm trying to put through here. Sorry, y'all. All right, he said when Peyton Manning came to Atlanta playing for the Broncos and we picked him 3 times, yeah, that defense gave him problems. We had him doing things he don't do. And if you remember, we kind of had to hold on at the end of that game because he almost came back and won. And if I know, I'm trying to think, the little cast off guy that ended up going to Baltimore got one of the, and it was like 3 interceptions like in the first quarter. So that was weird. That was super weird when we did that. Yeah, that was a good win. That was another good game we played against Michael Vick when he was with Philly, and I never forget that because in our area we were sitting. That was Vic's first time coming back to Atlanta as a quarterback against the Falcons, and I remember Snoop Dogg was in the next uh, section where we were, and I remember giving him a little bit of drama about that game. That was actually a good one for him as well. So again, top 10 moments for Atlanta Falcons. Again, if y'all haven't heard, Atlanta sports fans, the Atlanta Hawks are getting Christoph Porzingis from the Boston Celtics. He will be coming in, I'm assuming, to take that number 5 spot. So hopefully uh, that will be some good stuff for us as Atlanta sports fans. And then the draft was already. I was wondering what they were going to do for the draft, whether they're going to try to trade up and try to get somebody up in there, but I don't know. Maybe maybe he can try to do that. But yeah, that's where we are as far as that's concerned. The top 10 moments in Falcons history. I If you notice, there are not a lot of moments probably prior to 1990 because you only had a few. I know when the Falcons beat New Orleans, that was a pretty big win uh, against them in 1991. But as there were a lot of memorable things about that. I think that was the year that Haynes caught the Hail Mary. But other than that, it really wasn't a whole lot. Um, Pre 1978 to speak about as far as great moments. I know a lot of people point to the 77 grit splits and how great they were, and they were, but that was a 7-17. We had a totally anemic offense. If we had any kind of offense, we would have been uh, fine on that. Travis says may not be top 10, but Adrian Claiborne 6 sacks against the Cow. Oh yeah, I remember that game as well. That was kind of a interesting. I know the starter for Dallas, was out that game, and Adrian Claiborne, I think that year, I think he ended up with like 8 sacks, and obviously 6 were in that one game, and Dak Prescott was just getting tossed around, uh, pretty awful. That was the first year of the dome. I mean, not dome of the Benz. That particular game, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's when that game was. But yeah, that was a definitely a good moment. What about I was thinking about the playoff year, not playoff year, I'm sorry. The non-playoff year. The Jets had just come back to back AFC championship games. Rex Ryan's defense was playing great. And the Falcons went up to uh, New York and beat them 10-7 on a last minute Matt Ryan to Tony Gonzalez touchdown. And that was a huge upset at that time because the Jets were pretty good at that moment. I'd like to say Rex Ryan was doing his thing as far as uh, the defensive guru that he was. Lived off of that reputation. So that was a pretty good moment when you ask me. I think that was pretty decent. Trying to find my other. I'm trying to see what we got on here. Uh, yeah, that was. I think we didn't talk about the Julio. Yeah, the Julio 300 game. I think we did talk about that. That was against Carolina again. Matt threw for 500 as well during that game. But what Julio did, I mean, that's super rare for anybody to do a 300-yard game with the Falcons, or in the NFL. Period. I think at that time, I think it's only four or five receivers who've done that in history. Let's give him a lot of credit, man. Those cats. That was a monster guy, and blessed to be able to see. I was looking at some of these moments that I had in here. I was blessed to be in a lot of those moments uh, in Falcons history. But continue to go ahead and put in the chat, put in the video your top moments as the Atlanta Falcons top 10. Again, a lot of stuff going on this evening. Atlanta Dream playing the game tonight. The Hawks rearing up for the draft. Made a pre-draft day trade, getting rid of Terrence Mann, bringing in Porzingis to come in and help Trey Young hopefully get this team to the next level. And again, just continue to put the top 10 moments in here. I'll be answering offline. Thank you all for checking us out here. We just want to pop in and just talk a little bit. I'm going to pop in a lot more with these top 10s just to give us something to talk about until we get training camp rolling, because it's going to be a long time until we get there. But again, tell your friends about Uncle Steve's Lounge. If you haven't heard about us, first time we got a chance to get on X in a while, Twitter. as you may. Appreciate everyone checking us out on Twitter. Make sure y'all like the video for me. And if you don't mind, share it out. Just a uh, different type of content here. We just love talking Falcons. Love to be interactive. I'm going to make sure that we get folks in here next go round. But make sure, especially on YouTube, hit the like button for me as we get ready to get out of here. Again, this is your Uncle Steve. Appreciate everyone joining us today. Everyone take care and have a great Tuesday.